Yo, and welcome to episode number 9 of TLDR Podcasts. Holy shit, we're almost to 10 fucking episodes already. I've already noticed a trend following every football post that James throws out there. These fucking kids get so high-strung about my picks. They rattle with me, rattle with Alex. Some kid said Alex has the IQ of a squirrel. Alex, what do you have to fucking say about these middle school kids sitting on their couch?
Dude, I can't deal with these fucking middle school kids anymore. My responses are going to become more and more inappropriate. Probably.
Your last one was a good one, dude. It was a good last response.
Yeah. And that was James. You just heard over there, James. Are you gonna fucking calm these kids down? Like every time you post something, it's like me saying some crazy shit that people freak out.
No, it's good media, man. It's you rile people up. People come to the podcast, they listen a little bit to see how much of a dumbass you are, and it's all good things.
And the hockey playoffs are flourishing. Tradon is erect over there in the top right corner.
Yes, sir. I mean, it would have been better if my team was in it, but my heart still, loves the game. So it doesn't really matter. If there's hockey on, I'll be there.
Yep. And Tyler doesn't know how to listen or pay attention, as we could see. But it looks like I owe him a pitcher of beer, and James owes him and Alex money.
I sent it. I lost like $25
didn't swing on 3 goddamn strikes in a fucking row. You never see that happen, Tyler. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, James, losing $125 total in bets over the weekend. That's brutal. I mean, for me, it was an easy one. $50 in the series. I mean, Alex, the only way you're going to beat me on the money is if the Dodgers swept, which they did. So I think you had the best bet of the weekend.
Yeah, 75 easy dollars from James there.
Yeah.
Easy money.
Yeah, Eric.
Well, guys.
Go ahead.
What's up? No, you tell me.
No, I was really wanting to do that whole home run bet because it would have made it more interesting versus just who won. Because that would have been a better bet because I was going to look up the final numbers of that series, but that would have been a much closer bet for you guys. I gave you a reach out to be like, hey, the Dodgers are probably going to win the series, but here's another bet. The Angels might hit more home runs in the series, but you didn't take it, so that's your bad.
Yeah, I don't know how much more time and attention I could pay for those guys this year. They're pissing me off. So today, Alex is going to talk to you guys about how the basketball playoffs are starting up. Baseball is still fucked because another team has tested positive, and Tyler is going to give you some more of his oh damn moments. And Tradon, of course, is going to get into those hockey playoffs. Football training camps are in full effect now too, and James is going to keep going over his AFC East predictions this week, guys. Stay tuned. We got a lot coming for you when we return. Welcome back, guys. James is going to start it off this week with the NFL AFC East Division. Let's hear what we need to know, James.
All right, guys. 3 divisions left after this. We're almost there. Today we're going to start with the Miami Dolphins. In 2019, they were 5-11. They had the worst negative point differential in the league at negative 188 points. They also started 0-7. Their head coach is Brian Flores, and that was his first year as a head coach. Their offense ranked number 25, and their defense ranked number 32. Their weakness going into the offseason was pretty much everything, especially their O-line. They literally had the worst time to pressure allowed in the entire league. Going into free agency, they lost Aqib Talib. He didn't play a snap for them, but he was still a damn good player for in years past. And they also lost Rashad Jones. In the draft, they had a lot of draft picks. They had 6 picks in the first 70 picks of the draft. With the 5th pick, they picked up Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama. He slid pretty far. He was almost number 1 overall, but that hip injury, it cost him a couple of draft spots. All reports right now say he's doing really, really well. In college, he had 87 touchdowns with 11 interceptions. Crazy numbers there. They also picked up Austin Jackson in the first and Noah Igimbohini, a cornerback, in the first as well. Going into free agency, they spent a lot of money on their defense and their O-line. They picked up Byron Jones from the Cowboys for 5 years, $82 million, Kyle Van Noy from the Patriots, Shaq Lawson from the Bills, Emmanuel Ogbah from the Chiefs, Trey Flowers, Eric Caracas from the Patriots, Jordan Howard from the Eagles, and Matt Breida from the Niners. So my prediction is that they go 6-10 this year. So a little bit better, but not that much better. I think they honestly stumbled and lucked into winning a couple of games last year, and the record should have been so much worse than it actually was. So I want to make it clear that my projection of 6-10 doesn't mean the Dolphins did not get much better this offseason, because they did. They got really, really good, much better than they were last year. They have some decent pieces on offense and defense that they can build around. The front office worked wonders this offseason to put together a respectable defense and a really good D-line. Are they good enough to be a top 20 D? No, but they're going to be much better than dead last. If Tua is healthy, he's going to win that starting job over Fitzmagic, and he's going to be so much fun to watch. The Dolphins O-line has some new pieces that will go a long way in helping Tua's development, and if everything goes well, I think Tua's going to be in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. I do think that they got a little bit better, but I have them at the same record as you, James, 6-10. I do agree that they're going to be just a tick better than last season, but it's not going to be much. I mean, that this team still has a long way to go. I'm really interested to see how Tua performs in the NFL. I think for me, that's the key guy for them, to see how he performs, and his development with that team is going to be huge for them.
Tradon, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree. By stats wise, it looks like they had a better passing offense, and the running offense is pretty weak. I mean, Brady's obviously not in the division anymore. Hold on. There we go. Sorry.
We're gonna have to edit this.
Technical issues.
For sure. Yeah, we're gonna, we'll edit that out. Eric, what do you think?
I got another agreement with you and Tyler, and who knows, we're finally all agreeing, but I got him at 6-10. The Tua era begins. He did have that gnarly, unfortunate injury. Fuck Nick Saban. It wasn't Nick Saban's fault, but fuck Nick Saban. But when he is healthy, he's solid. It's going to be highly anticipated to see him play. I think this year will be kind of a rebuilding year. And maybe even Fitzmagic can teach some tips and tricks to Tua, build him up, and build a system around Tua. And if they do that, they're on a good path for success. But I got them 6-10.
And finally, Alex, what do you think?
So I'm going to go 7-9. I got them just a little bit higher. I don't think Tua starts right away. I think they give him a little bit of time, especially because that was a pretty gruesome injury, that hip injury he came off. That's not something that you come back from 100% right away. So I think, you got to give Fitzmagic, I'd say maybe to like their bye week, and then give Tua some time to kind of work himself in. And then I think Tua takes over. Like Tradon mentioned, Brady's not in the division. It's a little bit weaker. So I got him 7-9. I think the Dolphins, this is a year that they're looking to just build on. And then in the next couple of years, they're going to be a force in that AFC East for sure.
I agree with that. They have some good pieces there. In the fantasy here, there's honestly just one person I would pick from this team for fantasy, and we'll get into that in a second. We're going to start with Tua. He's a quarterback. He's going like quarterback number 24. His is projected for 192 points. Would anybody here draft him, realistically speaking? No?
I'm not going to draft him until I'd pick him up if once they give him the starting job.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Going to the running backs, you have Jordan Howard going at 109, and you have Matt Breida going at 125. This is another committee situation where I don't know how this offense is going to work, to be honest. I'm going to stay away from the running backs in Miami. Eric, would you stay away from these, or would you pick one?
I almost picked up Howard last year. He was on the Eagles, correct? I almost picked him up last year in fantasy because I was just straight struggling. But he'd be a guy I'd probably pick up later on if I am struggling, which I won't be this year in fantasy football. So, yeah.
Good luck to you, man. And last, we're gonna touch on this one guy that I really, really like. I'd pick from the Dolphins for sure. It's Devontae Parker, wide receiver. He's going at 79, wide receiver 28. He's projected for 204 points. Last year, he had 10 top 25 weeks after week number 3. He's a wide receiver 1 right now for a team that has no one else to take targets from him. Right now, he's being drafted too low, in my opinion. He's being drafted right next to A.J. Green, and I think he should be drafted earlier, like mid-50s, wide receiver 19, along with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So, Tyler, Would you rather have Devontae Parker or Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods?
I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods just because I trust the quarterback behind those guys more. I think the Dolphins, just the quarterback play, I'm just not so sure on. But I do think that he has a higher ceiling in terms of how he could perform. So for me, it kind of depends on the quarterback play. But with those specific guys in mind, I'm going to pick Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods.
Okay. And Tradon, I see you nodding. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp and actually Devontae Parker both actually worry me on an injury perspective. So I'd actually draft Robert Woods. I just feel like, I guess Robert Woods has been in and out of the lineup, but he seems like he's a little more present. Albeit Devontae Parker had a huge breakout season last year, and I think that's a large reason why they had a solid passing offense. I mean, relative to their running game.
All right. Okay, moving on to the New York Jets here. In 2019, they were 7-9. They had high expectations going into the year after signing Lev Bell, but they never put it together. Sam Darnold caught mono at the beginning of the season, and then he also started seeing ghosts, so that's never good. The head coach is Adam Gase in his fourth year of coaching. He has a career record of 30-34. They're ranked number 31 in total offense, number 16 in total defense. Their weakness is, once again, their O-line. They had the second worst time to pressure rate at 2.5 seconds or less on 28% of their snaps. They lost Jamal Adams, literally their best player and probably the best safety in the league. They traded to the Seahawks. They also lost Robbie Anderson, a wide receiver, Brandon Shell, a tackle. They went to the draft and picked up some solid pieces in Mekhi Becton from Louisville, a tackle, and Denzel Mims, a wide receiver from Baylor. They went in free agency. Got George Fant from the Seahawks, Connor McGovern from the Broncos, a center, and got Rashad Perriman, a wide receiver, and also signed Frank Gore, legendary guy. He's 37 years old. Why is he still in the league? I don't know, but he's still there. Oh, and then they got Joe Flacco. He probably won't play. My prediction is that the Jets go 7-9. I don't think the Jets will ever succeed with Adam Gase as their head coach. He's terrible. Lev Bell just said this is going to be his best season yet, but I don't think so. And I'm a big Lev Bell guy. I loved him as a Steeler, but he won't be able to do anything with Gase as head coach. That being said, they did shore up their offensive line, so Darnold should be able to have enough time to see the ghost and not throw to them. And Lev Bell should have a little bit more running room this season. The Jets made a terrible mistake in trading away Jamal Adams, and their defense will take a massive step back this season. Alex, let's start with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I have them going 5-11. I don't have a ton of faith in Adam Gase either. I agree with you. I think the Jamal Adams trade was a mistake. From reading reports around the league, it sounds like they got a decent amount from him, or for him, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of things that say, if Sam Darnold didn't stick his tongue down some chick's throat, they might have, gotten 500 or something. And I'm a big USC guy, so I love Sam Darnold. I want to see him succeed. I just don't know if they have it. That O-line is weak, and their two best players are Sam Darnold and Lev Bell. And if that O-line can't help those guys, they're in a lot of trouble.
Eric?
Yeah, I got him at 6-10. I do like Darnold. He can't get mono again. He can't be kissing strippers this year. Just don't kiss him. This is Darnold's chance to prove himself. He has shown signs of life in the past. Le'Veon Bell shit the bed last year. I tried to get him in fantasy actually, and Alex was the pick before me, and Alex drafted him. But thank God I didn't get him anyways.
You're welcome.
He's getting a lot of money, so he needs to do better this year. I think he'll do hopefully better than last year. They traded away Jamal Adams. It shows me from that trade they got 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. If shit goes down south for them this year, expect a rebuild type of season. They got these future draft picks. It's kind of like this is their season to throw it all on the line and see what happens. 6-10 for the Jets.
Tradon?
Yeah, I see 7-9. I just think that I don't know much about Adam Gase myself. I'm relatively new to the sport, obviously, but Sam Darnold needs to show progress. If it sounds like he needs to show progress if Gase is going to keep his job. Lev Bell hopefully can't make the excuse that he has no O-line. Coming off a contract dispute like that with a bad season is a bad look. Now we can say that it was the O-line, which is valid, but now you better show us something. Defense, I think you're right. I mean, they ranked about within the halfway point of the defense among the league. I think they're going to take a step back. 7-9 is probably on the generous side, to be honest.
And Tyler.
Yeah, I got him at 5-11. Really not much to add. What pretty much has been said already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to fantasy, Sam Darnold's going at 170 plus QB 54. He's going undrafted. He has 39 touchdowns and 28 interceptions in his career. I think it's just the undrafted. Lev Bell right now is going at 42.9, running back 18. As mentioned earlier, he said he was going to have his best season yet. I don't believe it, but I think he's definitely going to have a better year than he did last year. Right now, he's going between Leonard Fournette and David Johnson. So, Tradon, who would you have?
Probably Fournette.
Okay, I would too. Lastly, we're going to talk about Jamison Crowder. He's the only wide receiver worth mentioning here. He's going at 114, wide receiver 38. Last season, he had he caught 78 passes, so it's a really good PPR pick. Right now, he's going 5 picks in front of Sterling Shepard. Alex, I know you're a big Shepard guy from last episode, so who would you rather have and why?
I'd still go with Shepard. I just think because it's kind of counterintuitive, but because the Giants have other options, the defense is going to be spread out trying to cover those options, whereas the Jets, all they're covering is Crowder because they don't have other options. So I would go with Shepard.
That's a good call. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills in 2019, they were 10-6. They were a pretty big surprise team because they were a 6-10 team the year before. Last season, they lost in the wild card round to the Texans in overtime. They finished with ranked number 23 in total offense and number 2 in total defense. They lost Shaq Lawson to the Dolphins and Jordan Phillips to the Cardinals. They drafted a defensive end in the second round and a running back in the third round. They added pretty big names in Stephon Diggs when they traded him. And then they also got Mario Addison from the Panthers for $30 million. He had 9.5 sacks last season. My prediction is that the Bills go 11-5. I think the Bills are just a solid all-around team. Let's start with the offense here. Josh Allen is improving just about every single year. He's got a strong arm and better than average running ability. He now has a wide receiver 1 in Stephon Diggs and a great wide receiver 2 and 3 in John Brown and Cole Beasley, who can create space easily. The defense looks as primed as it was last year. They drafted a foundational defensive end in A.J. Espina in the second round that'll be a force for years to come. Overall, this is a really, really strong team, and I think they're going to win the division straight up. Tyler, what do you think?
I agree, man. I got him also. Have him at 11-5. I think this team's been improving year by year the last 4 or 5 years or so. Brutal playoff loss last year to the Texans. I think they could easily could have advanced in that game. Bills Mafia, this is your time. Let's go, Bills. I think they'll win the division this year. I like the Bills a lot.
Tradon?
Yeah, man. 12-4. I mean, Buffalo has actually something to be happy about sports wise. Allen's justified that he's the number 7 overall pick in 2018. He's big, he's mobile, and he's a gamer. He fucking fights. He fucking goes for it. He also joins a small name of QBs with a 20-plus passing and a 12-plus rushing touchdown in the first 2 seasons, tying Wilson and Watson for the most game-winning drives in 2019 with 5. So he has some so he's solid, and he has some versatile weapons behind him. Stephon Diggs is coming back to back 1,000-yard seasons, so he's freaking solid. And I think they got a promising tight end in Dawson Knox. I think they're actually going to make a run for it, and definitely win the division for sure.
Eric?
12-4 also. These fans are going to shatter tables WWE style no matter what, whether they're good or trash. This year, they will be good once again. It's going to be positive for them. Josh Allen is just a solid QB. He's got more weapons now. He has Stephon Diggs. And Bills have one of the top defenses. So the whole slogan, defense wins games, offense buys tickets. I think it's going to go well for the Bills this year. And hopefully they can make a good playoff run as well. 12-4.
And Alex?
I got him 11-5. Shout out to my boy Zach, Bills Mafia big fan. I think Josh Allen is an underrated fantasy option. He's got the legs. He's got a fucking cannon. Dude, he threw from his knees a 50-yard pass through the field goal. That's insane. Josh Allen is the man. I think Stephon Diggs, I think their wide receiver core is legit. They should win. I think they should win this division pretty easily.
I'm actually going to ask you about fantasy. So we're going to talk about Josh Allen first. He's going as QB number 10. Eric, you were highest on Josh Allen, having him as QB number 6. Alex, you had him as QB number 10. So why did you have yours so high, and then why did you have yours so low?
I didn't know I put him that high, but
Yeah, boy.
he's a solid quarterback. Alex just kind of laid it down for you. We've all been talking about him this whole time. He's just a guy that's going to put himself out there on the line. He's got more weapons. I think he's going to do really well this year. So I'll stand with that number 6 out of 10 pick.
Yeah, I put him at number 10 mostly to try to persuade you guys not to pick him when we do fantasy football later. So I can pick him because I think Josh Allen is going to have a breakout year. I think that team is legit. He doesn't have to worry about Tom Brady. That dude's huge. I actually met him one time, so that was pretty fucking cool. He's a California boy living in apparently Buffalo, but I'm a big Josh Allen guy. I think he's going to have a big year this year.
I agree with that. Talk about Stephon Diggs next. He's going wide receiver 26. Based on name value alone, you'd think he would be a top 15 wide receiver, but he moves an offense that's run first and has a QB that can also run. So I think where he's being drafted now is pretty accurate. Tradon, Jarvis Landry's ADP is 68.1, while Diggs is 68.2. Who would you rather have?
I think I'd rather have Diggs. Seems like his last 2 years have been pretty solid. 6 touchdowns last year. I think that he's a big part of that core. I'm picking him.
Okay, and then lastly, their defense is going as defense number 3. They're a solid defense. I think I'd pick them if they're available in the 8th round. Lastly, the New England Patriots. 2019, they were 12-4. They lost the wild card to the Titans. They had one of the best defenses of all time, allowing only 225 points total to other teams. They're coached by Bill Belichick in his 25th year coaching, has an insane record of 273 wins and 127 losses. They rank number 7 in total offense. They rank number 1 in total defense. Their weakness is finding a QB. Tom Brady's gone now. What are you going to do about it? He signed with the Bucs for $50 million. They lost a ton of pieces on offense and defense this year. Jamie Collins is with the Lions now. He had 7 sacks last year. Kyle Van Noy signed with the Dolphins, which we talked about earlier. He had 6.5 sacks last year, and they lost some key pieces on the offensive line. They went in, they drafted people you never hear about because that's a Patriot way. Their first pick was in the 2nd round, and they picked some guy who was a Division II guy. We'll see how that works out. They went in and added Cam Newton from the Panthers. If he's healthy, he's going to be a force. They also signed some pretty nobody knows these guys, but they signed Bo Allen from the Bucs, Adrian Phillips from the Chargers. And they also signed Lamar Miller from the Texans. He's coming off a torn ACL. He didn't play last season. So my prediction is that they go 9-7, and I think that's being generous. Overall, it's going to be pretty hard to predict because the number of players they've lost opting out because of COVID. 6 total players, 3 of them were starters, and a number of key players that they lost. I know that the Patriot way is a thing, and they always go next man up, but I don't think they can overcome this. They definitely won't have a 12-4 record that they had last year. On the defensive side, their strength is their secondary. Stephon Gilmore is still the best cornerback in the league, and it's up to him and Devin McCourty to keep this defense productive. Dante Hightower's opted out, so that automatically decreases the value of their defense. On offense, their big signing was Cam Newton. If he's healthy, he's a great all-purpose quarterback. They still don't have any weapons, though. Julian Edelman is getting up there in age, and he's basically the only offensive weapon they have. If he gets hurt, their record will be worse than I predicted. Tradon, let's start with you. What do you think?
I definitely think they're going to regress. Lots of players missing. Offense is just not what it used to be. Although I am still pretty strong on the defense. I know they're missing Dante Hightower and a couple others, but I'll tell you, I believe in their first man up or their next man up type of mentality. They're very versatile. You can't even they don't even have a scheme that you can even call what they are because they they do whatever the hell they want, depending on the game situation. And I think that the way Belichick has worked his defensive, the defensive side of his teams, I think that they'll be able to adapt to pretty much anything to keep them at least above 500. So I see 9-7 for sure.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, I got them at 10-6. They're still going to be a threat. Cam Newton has everything to prove, though, for himself. He now has the greatest football coach ever. He still has a top 10 defense. And people such as myself want to see them do bad, but they're still going to be somewhat good. And you'll probably get into it, but Cam Newton, I had him on the list of quarterbacks that people were rattled with.
I will ask you about that. Yeah.
I'll save it for when you ask me about it.
Okay.
Fuck it.
And then Tyler and Alex.
Yeah, I have them at 10-6 as well. I kind of agree with Eric. I think, this team is a team that you can easily kind of put down and, say they're, in a rebuild mode or whatever you want to say, but they still have the leadership behind Bill Belichick. I think Cam Newton, as Eric mentioned, has a lot to prove. And his 1-year contract. It's a huge year for him. And he's going to step it up. And he's with one of the greatest football minds of all time. As Tradon mentioned, their defense is still pretty solid. I think they're still going to be very competitive. I think they make a wild card spot, but they will fall short of the division and finish 10-6.
I have them at 8-8. I'm not 100% sold that Cam Newton is going to be the starting quarterback. Jarrett Stidham, they were talking about him all off season before this Cam Newton thing. Bill Belichick said he's our guy. Then Cam Newton kind of just fell into their laps. I probably would have had them a little bit higher if it wasn't for the opt-outs. But if you kind of looked at their schedule last year, that defense probably won them at least a couple of games. Tom Brady really faltered towards the end of the season. So I have them at 8-8. It's a tough call because you can't bet against Bill Belichick. Like, he will take his hoodie off and smother you with it if you do. So I have to give him at least a 500 record. I could be very wrong. We'll see what happens with Patriots.
Going to fantasy here, Eric. I'm going to go and do you first. But Cam Newton's being drafted at 137, QB 14. Why do you have him in your top 10?
Even though he's a quarterback, he's 9th in yards per carry, above a couple dudes named Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry, and Todd Gurley. I know he's a quarterback, and that's running, but another little stat is he's number 12 in total offense, above another pretty good player named Russell Wilson. So I got to have faith in him, even though he didn't do shit for me last year in fantasy. I probably won't get him this year, but I threw him in that top 10 list, and look what happened.
Okay. And then we'll talk about Julian Edelman real fast. He's going at 96, wide receiver 34. He's never played without Tom Brady in his entire career. And I honestly think this ranking is disrespectful. I think he should really be a top 15 wide receiver. Tradon, do you agree or disagree?
I'm actually going to disagree slightly because I think that if Tom Brady was still the quarterback, absolutely. But as we know, Tom Brady definitely picks and chooses who his favorites are, and he will directly not throw to the secondary options. We have new blood here, and so I think the ball is going to be thrown around to literally anyone who's available. And Julian Edelman's targets are definitely going to come down. That's my belief, and I just don't. That's what I would think. He's not going to be up in that upper echelon that you mentioned, shortly below it though.
Okay, for sure. And lastly, the defense, going at defense number 5. I wouldn't draft a defense number 5. And that concludes my segment, guys. Thank you very much.
Always good info from James, and he's going to help me win fantasy this year with all that info. When we return, guys, basketball playoffs are back in full effect. Alex is going to let you know why it's important to pay attention. Everybody, we're back, and so is the NBA playoffs. And Alex is going to tell you why it's important to be paying attention and watching this. Alex, tell us why.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the NBA a whole bunch on this podcast yet, and now that the playoffs are in full swing, we're out of the seeding games. We're out of that crazy Blazers-Grizzlies game to figure out who would be the 8th seed. I thought it would be time to talk a little NBA basketball down there in Orlando, Florida. So we're going to start with the West, and we're going to kind of go all over the place, so stick with us here. So I'm going to start with James. We're going to go So we have the number 4 seed Rockets versus the number 5 seed Thunder. So just some little talking points here. James Harden and Russell Westbrook against Chris Paul. Westbrook and Chris Paul were traded for each other. The series is right now 1-0 Houston. It was a 123-108 final. Harden with 37, CP3 20, 10, and 9. James, what do you think about this series so far?
So far, I think this is a great series. Overall, I have the Thunder in 6 for this one. Like you said, there's a lot of emotions in the series just because of the weirdness of, CP3 and Russell Westbrook. But overall, I think it's going to be a great series to watch. Today, watching today's game, I was reminded about how much I hate James Harden's style of play. That guy's a bitch. And I hate watching it big time.
Here.
Not a fan at all. And I really wanted the Thunder to win, but it was just like, it was tough for them to win when CP3 wasn't hitting until the fourth quarter and Dennis Schroeder went 3 for 12. Overall, though, it's tough to win without a big in this league. And, the Rockets don't have one. They traded away Clint Capella halfway through the year. And how are you going to guard Steven Adams and Danilo Gallinari? They couldn't. That's why Danilo Gallinari went off for 29 points. It's going to be an interesting series to watch, but I have the Thunder in 6.
Okay. Yeah, Russell Westbrook did miss this game too. He's got a quad injury. According to Mike D'Antoni, #fuck that guy. Sorry, as a Lakers fan, fuck Mike D'Antoni. He should be back maybe in this series. They're not giving a ton of info. Another interesting point, the Thunder at the beginning of the season had a 0.02% to make the playoffs. You got to love Chris Paul for that. This is probably one of the most interesting opening series of the NBA playoffs so far. Moving on to another super interesting one. We've got the number 2 Los Angeles Clippers versus the number 7 Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers did win this one. The first game in the series, 118-110. Kawhi went for 29 points and 12 rebounds. Luka Doncic went for 42 points. I personally think Luka is like the tipping point of this series. He may be the best player in this series, even with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on the floor. Kawhi and Paul George are maybe overall very deep players, but Luka runs that Mavs team like no other team we've ever seen before. They had the best offensive team in the history of basketball this season. Kristaps Porzingis did get ejected with 2 techs in this game. There was a lot of talk throughout the NBA bubble that it was some bullshit. Eric, perfect timing. You're throwing up that T signal. This is your series. Clips, Mavs, what do you think?
I got Clips in 5 games. I do agree, though, with you. Luka Doncic is a tough task to contain. The duo with him and Porzingis, a.k.a. they call him the unicorn, but that European dynamic duo does provide a lot of points and depth to the Mavs, and it kind of creates trouble for other teams. The Mavs were pretty close in that game the whole time yesterday, even with – I will say that was a bullshit call for Porzingis getting ejected. He shouldn't have got ejected. Even they interviewed Doc at halftime. He said, I hate to see that. That's not what this game's about. So that kind of screwed them last night. But they're going to be tough games. They're going to be close. However, the Clips do got a guy who goes by the nickname KL2, a.k.a. Kawhi. The guy just gets the job done, as we've seen in the past. PG is another solid player with him. He's going to give you a lot of points. I think he has a little something to prove. He hasn't gotten – I mean, I guess he's gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals, but, he wants to go deep. He wants to prove himself. And then one other thing that just really helps the Clippers is 2 guys, Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell. They're the highest scoring bench duo in NBA history. Trez just got back to the bubble, so it's going to take a little time for him to get it going, but those guys can be dangerous as well. I got Clips in 5.
Yeah,
Alex,
dude.
don't you hate Lou Will?
What?
Doesn't Alex hate
I
Lou
don't
Will?
hate Lou Will. I think the strip club chicken wing saga or whatever you want to fucking call it was a mistake. And if I was a teammate of Lou Will, I'd be pissed. But you can't deny the dude can ball. I've never seen someone hit like 1-footed 3-pointers off of a foul like Lou Will. You got to give him some love for sure. That's a really good point about Lou Will, and we didn't even mention Pat Bev. He's one of the top defenders in the league. Kawhi and PG are great wing defenders. They've got a lot of dudes that they can throw at Doncic, which is I do agree with you, Eric. I do think the Clips come out of this series, but I think it might go 7. I think Luka Doncic is a budding star in the making. He could be the face of the NBA within the next couple of years for sure. Going to another young player who just dropped fucking points in game 1. Donovan Mitchell dropped 57 in that first game between the Nuggets and the Jazz. The Jazz did lose to Denver 135-125 in OT. Donovan Mitchell, 3rd most points in playoff history, behind probably the greatest guy in the fucking world, Michael Jordan. Tradon, this one's for you. What do you think? Denver, Utah, budding rivalry, snow, mountains, altitude, even though we're playing in Florida.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be an exciting one. I mean, you got Rudy Gobert against Jokic. Nikola Jokic is just gonna lead that. In my opinion, is just gonna lead that Nuggets team. And he I think everything kind of drives through him. And I would say that Gobert did provide some level of competition for Nikola Jokic, but he still dropped 29 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists in their 3 matchups. So I think that Rudy Gobert has to do even more to stop the onslaught that is Nikola Jokic. On the other hand, Rudy Gobert is again a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year, and he will be testing Jokic all the way through. Along with Donovan Mitchell being able to come out and drop some mad points. I think it's going to be a pretty good series. So in my opinion, I see the Nuggets at 6. At the end of the day, I think Jokic is gonna lead this team, and there we go.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think the Nuggets are one of those underrated title contenders that people aren't talking about a whole bunch. Gobert's going to have to fucking contain Jokic or they're screwed. Okay, last series in the West. Tyler, you're rocking your Lakers shirt. It's currently tied at 89 apiece with 3 minutes and 35 seconds to go. This is the first, Tyler, you're my boy. We've watched Laker games for literally 10 years together now. This is the first playoff game since 2013 when our boy Kobe was still a player, still around, hashtag RIP Kobe. Are you worried about this Blazers team because Dame Lillard won the MVP? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. He just hit a 3
He just
from
hit
the
a 3
again. He just hit a 3 from the
Basically
logo.
half court. That's great. I love that.
Jesus. Okay, talk about you're worried about Dame and the Lakers. Go for it.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, Damian Lillard is the best player in the NBA right now. He's playing on fire.
That's a huge take.
Yeah, he is just, in terms of his grit, his clutch shooting, overall play, in my opinion, he's the best. He's the best player in the NBA at right now, playing in the bubble right now. So yeah, as far as, and the Trailblazers, for whatever reason, the last 10 years, probably ever, had the Lakers number for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. This season, the Lakers played pretty okay against the Trailblazers. But I'm pretty nervous about this series. Obviously, the Lakers are the number 1 seed. Their offense has been struggling since they returned. They look a little rusty overall. They just don't look like they're clicking together right now. So I'm a little concerned about their offense. However, the Trailblazers' defense is their biggest weakness. So I feel like if there's a team that they can get it together with, it will be this Trailblazers team. I think the Trailblazers are a great team. They're going to grind it out. I think this series is going to go to 7, but I think the Lakers will take it. I have faith in my boys. I have faith in my purple and gold. Like you said, the Lakers are down by 3 with 3 minutes left in game 1 right now. Hopefully they pull it out. I think it's going to be a crazy, great series. This Trailblazers team behind Damian Lillard is a dangerous team. So I'm nervous about it, but let's go Lakers in 7.
Okay. Yeah. I have the Lakers in 6. Between the trio of Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard, I just don't think the bigs of the of the Blazers can deal. I don't know why the Clippers are on the line. Fuck Clippers. I don't think the bigs of the Blazers can deal with that trio. As we've seen in the past, Carmelo just hit another 3. Sorry. As we've seen in the past, playoff LeBron is a whole different ballgame. There's a reason he went to 8 NBA finals in a row. Granted, that was in the East. The West is fucking nasty this year. We'll have to see what happens. I also, as a Lakers fan, am very worried about the Blazers. Dame is one of my favorite players in the game. He's probably the most similar to Kobe in the game now. Just the tenacity, the drive to win. He'll fucking push that team. So, yeah, I think I go 7. I just think the Lakers are too talented for the Blazers to deal with them overall. Switching to the East. Speaking of teams that are crazy talented, speaking of players that are possibly the best in the league, another MVP possibly coming. The Bucks lost to the Magic today, 122-110. In the regular season, the Bucks were the best defensive team in the league. They are only the 4th number 1 seed to lose by double digits. 2 out of those other 3 teams did lose the series. James, are you worried about the Bucks?
Not even a little bit. Game 1 was a
okay.
Initially, I had the Bucks straight up sweeping the Magic, but after this, it's impossible. So the Bucks in 5 now.
Man,
what happened this game won't happen often. They had 2 key players have terrible games. Brook Lopez went 2 for 9, had 5 points and 4 rebounds in 30 minutes of play. And Chris Middleton, 4 for 12, 14 points and 6 rebounds in 31 minutes. Those 2 stat lines aren't going to happen often. They're too good of players for that to happen again. The only way that the Magic can even come close to winning another game against the Bucks is if Nikola Vucevic goes off every single game like he did this last game. He put up, 35 points and had 14 rebounds this game? Like, that's probably not going to happen again. Historically, Brook Lopez does a really good job defending him. When they played during the season, he held Vucevic to 43.8% shooting and 20% from 3. Additionally, it's when Brook Lopez is on the floor, the Bucks go from a negative 11.2 rating to a plus 8.9 rating. So he's probably one of the most important players on this team. And Tyler, I have to disagree with you. Giannis is the best player in the league right now.
Yeah,
Lakers are about to lose. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to focus. And okay, we got this. I do agree. Giannis is probably the best player in the league. The Lakers are going to lose this game, so we'll move past that. So that's another number 1 seed losing in the first round, or the first game of the first round. That's interesting. So the other series I asked you to talk about, Celtics-Sixers. We've got 2 big injuries in this series. Ben Simmons is out for the season, probably with a knee injury, and Gordon Hayward is out for 4 weeks with a ankle sprain. The Celtics are up 1-0 in this series with a 109-101 victory. What do you got on this series?
I got Celtics are a deep, tough team. They haven't had a lot of spotlight this year. I got Celtics in 5. A lot of it mainly because of that unfortunate news of Ben Simmons. He is their best defender as well, and that's tough. He probably would have been guarding Kemba, who's, from what I've heard, one of the most agile NBA players in the league currently. Embiid is a solid player. That dude just gets lazy, man. Like, if you saw him yesterday, like there was points in the game he's kind of just walking around. You look at other guys, like you look at Anthony Davis, those superstars, those guys are fucking running the floor the whole game. That's why they're down there getting those easy dunks, easy points. There's times where he gets lazy. He's a solid player. I love Tobias Harris on the Sixers. He's a guy that is going to try as hard as he can to get them to win. He'll get you 20 to 30 points. They just need more depth than just him, and Ben Simmons would have helped. Celtics just have their number like they have in these last few seasons. I think they played each other like the last 3 or 4 years in the playoffs, and they continue to beat them down, and they will again this year. Tatum, that guy is a superstar. up and coming, not even up and coming. He's already solid. You don't always hear about him, and he just gets the job done. Don't you Lakers fans wish they would have drafted him and not that bum Lonzo Ball? I mean, yeah, it's hard to
We
predict.
don't need to talk about that right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's hard to predict because it's a draft, but yeah, fuck, man. The Celtics' depth is rougher and tougher than 76ers. They got Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. Oh, yeah. And like I said, one of the most currently agile players, Kemba Walker. Celtics in 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. Without Ben Simmons, he can literally guard everyone between a 1 through a 5. He's a 6'9" point guard. He's pretty much what Magic Johnson was, but Magic was a much better passer. Yeah, I just think the Celtics' depth is too much for them. I agree. I think it's going to be Celtics in 5. The Lakers did just lose by 7 to Portland, but I did just see a little thing pop up. LeBron is the first player in NBA history to score 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a playoff game. This is his 17th year in the NBA. You got to give some love to LeBron, but I don't want to focus too much on Lakers right now. The next series we got is Raptors-Nets, the 2 versus the 7. When we talked about the NBA a couple episodes ago, we were all worried about the Nets. Kyrie's out. KD hasn't played. DeAndre Jordan's out. Spencer Dinwiddie's out. They were down by 33 at one point. They brought it back to 9. They did lose this game by 24. So it is 1-0 Toronto. Tradon, what do you got on this series? Canada, hockey, Raptors.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty quick for me. I think you gave me the easiest one to analyze. I have Raptors at 4. I don't even think – I think the Nets are probably the most unhealthy bubble team of all of them. I mean, they're missing out their 2 leading scorers, not even including KD. And they've really done well to tread water in the bubble, but I think that this Raptors team and their defense is just going to, come in and finish it off. I mean, you look at how the Raptors do it. Yeah, they don't have Kawhi, but they're known for their defensive strength. Nick Nurse has those guys, playing strong defense, well coached. They do have some offensive talent in Pascal Siakam. Averages 22.9 points and 7.3 rebounds per game this year. He's kind of their number one option, and he's going to continue. He's going to be the one that I think that he needs to show that he can lead this team in an easier series and show that he's going to be able to do it against the Bucks. Because I have them playing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Final. But then look who you also have. You have all NBA guard Kyle Lowry, solid player, gets points up. Freddie VanVleet, Norman Powell, Marcus Gasol, Serge Ibaka. They have depth on the bench. They get it done by committee. And I even saw that last year. When I watched them, I went up to Canada to see some family, and we watched the Toronto beat the Warriors in the finals, and they get it done by committee. Yeah, Kawhi was a huge part of that, but everyone's chipping in. Everyone. One player will have a game. One player will have a game. That's just how they roll. And I see them playing the Bucks in the finals. So this is a sweep in my opinion.
You just love Toronto.
Yeah.
No, I hate fucking Toronto. I hate them.
Yeah, Toronto is one of those. I think everyone in the East is so focused on Milwaukee and Giannis. And just like Eric said just before, I think Boston and Toronto are 2 teams that have a very good chance of coming out of the East that people aren't giving enough love to. Very last one. This is a tough one, Tyler. Pacers, Heat. We got the 4-5. TJ Warren, one of the unheralded stars of the bubble so far. Jimmy Butler coming in with that tenacity with the Heat. The Heat are up 1-0, a 113-101 victory today. What do you got on this series, Ty?
Yeah, as far as the Pacers are concerned, like you mentioned, TJ Warren came in shooting super hot, one of the best players in the league in the bubble. The Pacers overall had a 6-2 record in the bubble. Victor Oladipo for me is the kind of the X factor of this team. He's like their number one guy, but he almost opted out of the bubble because he was rehabbing from a quad injury. So if he can be healthy and effective, I think the Pacers will definitely give the Heat a run for their money. But in my opinion, I think the Heat just have way more depth than the Pacers do. And I think that's going to be the difference in the series. I think the Heat win this 1-6.
Yeah, for sure. Jimmy Butler had 28 today. Goran Dragic all of a sudden had 24. Bam Adebayo, possibly a sixth man of the year, kind of like an up-and-coming guy, had 17. He was an all-star this year. The Heat are nasty. I don't know if they can get through those top three teams we just talked about, but the Heat are a very interesting team to watch. I think if they get another star, they are a powerhouse in the making for the years to come. Real quick, I just want you guys to give me your picks for the finals and then who wins and how many games. James, you first.
I got Lakers, Bucks, Lakers in 7.
Okay. Eric.
I got Clippers, Celtics, Clippers in 7.
Tradon.
I got Lakers, Bucks as well. Bucks in 7. Giannis gets his trophy.
Okay. Ty.
Lakers over Toronto in 6.
I had exactly the same thing. Lakers, Raptors, Lakers in 6. All right, guys, that was the NBA little recap there.
Thanks, Alex. That was great insight for the NBA, and just fucking sports world is flourishing right now, guys.
It is.
When we come back, Tradon is going to fucking let us know who's the best in hockey currently. Everybody, sports are fucking going crazy right now. And we got to mention playoff hockey when we talk crazy fucking sports from a crazy fucking guy, Tradon. Let us hear it.
Well, thank you for that intro. So we're just going to quickly go through the recap of these series here. Starting in the East, we got the Flyers versus the Canadians. Flyers are up 3-1 in the series. James, I think I tasked you to check this one out. I know that you were very interested in this series. You said that to me, I believe, when we were on our little trip on the weekend. So tell me what you think about this series so far.
I think so far the series has been very, very, very close. I think everybody here in this little chat in our podcast had the Flyers absolutely dominating the Canadians, and that has not been the case. Just in terms of goal differential, the Canadians are actually up by 1 because of that game 2 where they had 5 goals. The biggest thing is that the Canadians have a lot of penalties. If they can cut that down, I think they'll be in a better position to win. I mean, Carey Price is still doing amazing as it is. And the Canadians are outshooting the Flyers 112-103 for the series. A little fact is that teams that have a 3-1 lead have a 90.6 chance of winning the series. Yeah. But I think the Habs could be that 9.4% that will come back and win it. So go Canadians.
I'd love to agree with you. I'm not. The games that I've seen, you are absolutely right in that the games have been close in terms of scoring. If you watch the way the Flyers have been playing, they are completely dominating the middle of the ice. The Montreal Canadiens just have not been able to. They haven't been able to score in 2 games. I mean, 5 goals in 1 game, that's fantastic, but they haven't been able to get anything on the board for 6 periods. They're getting completely swallowed up, and the Flyers are just taking their time, finding their opportunity and striking. Kevin Hayes has been a huge leader on the squad, and their stinker. And in my opinion, their stinker game 2 was just a bad game. I expect the series to be over tomorrow, but I hope that you're right in that they can make it a series, because I would love to see Montreal upset the Flyers, but I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. Moving on to the Capitals and Islanders. After a crazy game today, the Capitals did not get swept. The Islanders lead the series 3-1. Alex, I have you checking this series out. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think this is one of the only ones that, as a consensus, we were really fucking wrong. I think we picked the Capitals with their big names to come through this series. Maybe not quite as we predicted, obviously. The Islanders have been fucking killing it. But at the same time, the Washington Capitals, their big boys have been scoring. Oshie's got 3. Kuznetsov has got 2. Ovi's got 2. Ovi scored another 2 tonight. The real problem with the Washington Capitals is the netminder in Braden Holtby. He is not playing very well. If Braden Holtby turns into 2017, 2018 Holtby when they won the Cup, they could be a team that comes back from 3-0. I don't think it will happen, but if they get the consistent goaltending that Holtby has shown in the past, I think they do have a chance. Their firepower on offense is just too much. John Carlson, a possible, best defenseman in the league right now.
Oh, he's
really
amazing.
also, yeah, he's great. He needs to show. He's got 4 points. If he and Ovi and Kuznetsov, kind of the 3 big boys in that team, can show up, I think they have a chance. We talked about this last week, though. Barry Trotz might just swallow them up because he knows them. He's a great coach. That Islanders team reminds us of the Kings of, yesteryear, fucking whatever you want to say. I think it will end up going 6 now. I think the Capitals maybe get 1 more. I just don't know if they can beat the Islanders 3 more times.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Interesting fact: the Islanders have lost 1 game, now 2 since entering the bubble. They're the only, and they've only allowed. They've only been 1 game that they've allowed more than 2 goals, except for today, I believe. But they're playing so tight, and they have the Corsi stats and the Corsi stats show that a lot of the shots for the Caps are staying on the outside perimeter, very similar to what you're seeing the Flyers do to the Canadiens. And you've seen the Capitals just look. The big guys are looking completely lost. They can't figure it out. And literally the Islanders have, Varlamov and you could say Matt Barzal, who's amazing, who's probably the fastest guy in the league. Yes, I said that. He is the fastest guy in the league. Adam Pelech has really helped shore up their defense as well. They're definitely in a better state when he's back there. I'll be honest. I think that with the Caps winning today, Game 5 will be their final game. I think that the Islanders are just. Barry Trotz has been everything that is as advertised, and the Capitals didn't sign him, and they get slapped around for that one, I think. Next up, we have the Bruins versus the Hurricanes. One that is kind of making me sad here. We have the Bruins up 3-1. Tyler, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, I picked my Bruins to win it, and they're looking pretty good so far. The Game 4 was a turning point, in my opinion.
Yes.
The Canes had them were winning 2-0 going to the third period. Bruins exploded for 4 goals in the third period. That's a tough one to come back from. I think the Bruins are going to win this 1 in 6. Obviously, the injury to Svechnikov for the Canes is huge for them.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that when I was watching Game 4, I thought, maybe this team's coming together from that injury, and they're going to, a lot of times with team sports, you can really come together with one of your key guys coming together with getting hurt, with great leadership. Sometimes that can, make your team better. And the Canes looked like that team the first 2 periods, but Bruins came back firing. They're getting the best out of their best players. Marchand's got 7 points in the series so far. In my opinion, I think the Bruins are just, they're killing it. The crazy thing with Tuukka Rask opting out of the season was pretty crazy. So there was a little bit of craziness going on with the Bruins goaltending situation. But I think Halak has stepped in, done a pretty solid job for them so far. I think the Bruins, after that Game 4 win, I see them winning this series in 6.
Yeah. Touching on Tuukka Rask real quick, I was the first one to say that I thought it was pretty crazy, and I was upset that he would do such a thing. But after hearing from someone close to him, it sounds like he actually has some family issues that he needed to handle. That's not official, but if that's the case, I think any of us on this panel would be opting out to go see our families if that was the case. I see the Hurricanes losing. I could see them losing in the next game. I can maybe see a 6th game. Hurricanes losing Svechnikov has just completely blown up their offense. That line was buzzing until he went down. Side note, Jack Edwards, the announcer for the Boston Bruins, is a fucking idiot.
Piece of scum.
I could go a whole podcast just talking about how much of an asshole he is, but I won't yet. Maybe later. I'll even write about that, I think. Boston has just owned the Corsi battle, and the perfection line is firing. Even with Pasta out, he's going to be back. They are just firing. sorry, Canes. I really wanted you to go to the end, but I don't think you're gonna. I will say this is interesting, that if the Hurricanes win tomorrow, I don't know if the Boston Bruins are going to continue playing Halak that many games straight. Are they going to have to go to Dan Vladar, who I don't even know who he is, or Maxime Legacy, who's not a very good goalie? It'll be interesting to see if they have to go to a backup, because I have no idea what they're going to do. Finally, we have the Bolts and Jackets up from the East. Again, a sad one for me. Series has the Bolts up 3-1. Eric, what do you think about this one?
Boy, did that 5 overtime game fuck the Jackets.
I agree.
2 methods. 1, because they lost it. 2, because, like we mentioned before, now you can see they got drained from that game. They lost some legs, lost a little pep to the step. Even though they did win the next game, you just see the Lightning. They're playing with a vengeance. They got depth. They're proving themselves. They're out skating, and they're hitting back on the Blue Jackets, which, the Jackets are going to do their thing. The Lightning are doing a little bit more of it. That's simple. Jackets did just lose a close one. I love seeing those post-game interviews with Tortorella. He's probably the best coach when a team loses. One of the questions, what aspects of your game need to change? Most of them. How much more offense do you need to step up? More. That guy is fucking great. I love how he – and if they take longer than like 20 seconds to ask him a question, he just gets up and leaves. It's great. You got to give the Lightning credit, though. They're playing hard. They're hitting back.
Yes.
More offense, more scoring. That's what wins games. Last thing I'll say is if anyone can come back, it's the Jackets and Tortorella. Just this next game, look for Werenski and Jones to just be playing their dicks off out there on the ice. And, I mean, Jones has been doing that the whole series. And that first game he played, I think Alex had like 60 minutes. It was insane. But, every game now is an elimination game for them. So I think they actually kind of play better that way. I still got the Jackets coming out in 7 games.
Wow. I'd love to see that. I think the Jackets' lack of depth is really starting to catch up to them. Jones, Dubois, and Werenski just can't be playing this many minutes if they want to go forward. The Jackets are down even though Stamkos hasn't even played a game, and that's scary. And that's scary for the Bolts going forward for any team that has to play them, because once Stamkos is back, watch out. I had thought that a team. A underdog losing a game like that is a huge blow. They came back and really had a great game too, and I thought that the Bolts gave up a huge opportunity to completely sweep the series. And I think that it gave at the time, I thought it gave the Jackets a chance to get back into it. When you have a guy dead to rights or a team dead to rights, you have to shove it down their throats, and they didn't. I will say that the Lightning has taken the place of the Jackets in meaning that they're playing the Jackets game. They're playing a boring game. They're playing a defensive game. They're learning how to hold leads, and it's frustrating. It's very boring, but it's effective. And that's how they're going to beat these Jackets, just beat them to a pulp. I hope you're right, though, and I love to see a Game 7 between those two teams, but we'll have to see. Shifting over to the West, we have Chicago versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Eric, I know you fucking hate the Vegas Golden Knights. That's why I gave this series to you. Right now, there's 1:30 left, and it's 3-3. What is your thought about this series?
Yeah, the Vegas Golden Fucks versus the Chicago Trash Hawks. Let me just start by saying fuck them both, especially Vegas, because they swept my Kings. That's like why I have a big hatred for them. But shit, I bet money on the Blackhawks. They did show signs of life. I think that's like my most coined term with everything, showing signs of life. But maybe the Oilers just got bum rushed and weren't ready. That could be the case as well. But Vegas, they look like that fast-paced, score right when you gain momentum, frustrating team that they are. They surround the puck at all times. They score when it matters. It's just fucking so annoying to see them do well. Blackhawks are surprisingly the youngest team in the playoffs, besides the Tays, Kane, Duncan, Keith, and Crawford players. But they've been in pretty close games, believe it or not. They lost that game to overtime Game 3, they lost by 1 goal. The first game, they got destroyed. And currently, they're in a 3-3 game, and the second period's about to end. So, every game has been pretty close. They need Crawford to play like he did in that Game 4. They need Taze and Kane to show up like they did versus the Oilers. And they need the young bucks like Kubalik and DeBrincat to get the puck rolling. But guess what? That fucking happened on the second goal today. Kubalik to DeBrincat to get them up 2-0, right?
Yeah.
2-0. They just need to keep getting in the back of the net. I bet that the Blackhawks would win. I'm just going to go with my heart, not my brain. Blackhawks in 7.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry. This ends today. If you look at the Corsi stats, it's been utter domination. Crawford literally stole Game 4. I mean, I'm sorry, he did. This looks very similar to the Avs Yotes, which Tyler we're going to be talking about soon. I even from a Corsi perspective, in terms of shot attempts, the Knights still owned the Hawks in that OT game, so their possession was there. Sorry, Eric, I know that was close, but I mean, the 5-on-5 stats speak for themselves, and it's clear. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you. Yeah, you might squeeze out a game or two, but I just don't. I mean, this is a mismatch if I've ever seen one. In my opinion, it ends today. But I love to see more hockey, so let's see the Blackhawks win. More hockey's happy. Makes me happy. Avs Yotes. Avs are leading 3-1. Tyler, what do you think of this series?
It's over.
It's over.
It's over, guys. I mean, Avs have been dominating this series. I mean, Nathan McKinnon,
Oh my
fucking
god.
stud, dude. I mean, this guy is just tearing up this Yotes defense. And let's give some props to Grubauer, their goaltender, who's been a solid goaltender so far this series at a .933 save percentage. He's killing it as well. So yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say. I mean, 7-1 in Game 4. It's over, boys. I mean, I think the Avs will win this one in 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, I'm gonna repeat what I just said last series. Utter domination. I mean, they scored a touchdown and a PAT against the Yotes yesterday. The only game that Arizona won, the Avs dominated. It was a 92 shot attempt to 39 for Arizona. If you had not shown me the score, I would say that the Avalanche were winning 5-0. Darcy Kemper has been incredible, like unbelievable. And unfortunately, if you just rely on your goaltender, you're gonna be flushed down the toilet, and they're gonna be. Oh, and by the way, easily bona fide second best player on the planet is Nathan McKinnon, no doubt about it. Anybody can fight me if they disagree, because he absolutely is amazing.
He's still in the playoffs.
And he's a close first. Yeah, I'm not gonna say he's first, but he's close. And he is still in the playoffs. But yeah, you are absolutely right. It's over ASAP. Stars Flames. Stars, after a great game today, the Stars lead the series 3-2. James, what do you think of this one?
I think the series is going to end on Thursday here. I think the Stars take it. Initially, I had them going to 7, but after I've seen them play, I'm going to say 6. I think they've knocked off all the rust from the Red Robin play.
Yeah.
Because that Red Robin looked terrible coming into this series. They've gotten better over time. They've straight up outshot the Flames. They have 249 to 185 shots over that.
Right.
And the biggest question mark going into this was the goaltending. During the season, they had a .92 save percentage, and during the playoffs up until this game, they had a .896 save percentage. But today, I think Khudobin, he's going to regress to the norm. He's a solid goaltender, and after today, he's figured it out, and he brought it back up to .902. So once they've got that figured out, I think it all just falls into place, and I think the Stars will take it in 6.
I agree. Today, Flames gave up their lead to someone that we know very well, Joe Pavelski. Radulov finished off the comeback today. Look, the Flames are emotional. They're cheap. Kachuk is out of the lineup due to injury, and he's a big loss, even though he's a legit clown. This series has been decided by 1-goal games in 3 of the 4 games. I will say this series is tight because there is such little room for error in terms of those 1-goal games. So I could see this maybe going to 7. But I'm pretty sure the Flames have a campfire in the box because that's all they fucking do. They're always in the box, and it's gonna eventually bite them in their hairy asses, and they're gonna be fucking done. So yeah, I think that six games is a pretty good guess.
Fuck Calgary.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go to 7. And finally, in my opinion, the most intriguing series of the West, Canucks versus the Blues. The Blues tied the series 2-2 in their overtime thriller. Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was about to say that right before you. I think this is the most exciting series of round one so far. There have been 2 OT games. I believe that we picked the Canucks to win in 6 as a kind of consensus.
Except me.
I'm a little worried about that now. It looked real good for the first 2 games. My problem is the goal scoring for the Canucks has gone down for each game. So they went 5-3-2-1. They're not scoring as efficiently. They won that OT game. This could easily be a 3-1 series in favor of St. Louis. On the crazy side, these teams are actually, I think a lot of people think, okay, the Blues, they won the Cup last year. They should destroy the Canucks. Their regular seasons were not really that far off. On the power play percentage, the Blues are number 3, the Canucks are number 4. On the penalty kill, they were half a percentage off. They were very, very similar teams. Obviously, the Blues have a lot of players that won a Cup because they just won last year. The Canucks have a bunch of players that came from the Kings that won a fucking Cup. Bo Hobart is playing out of his mind. He leads the playoffs in goals right now. Quinn Hughes is tied with the most assists for the league right now. The Canucks feel like they should be winning this series, and they're not. I think it all comes down to who wins Game 5. Whichever team wins Game 5 is going to win this series. Because we picked the Canucks, I'm going to stick with them because I'm going to stick with my picks. But this one is tough. I could see it going 7. Another big shot for the Blues. Tarasenko was out. He had a shoulder injury all year. It got aggravated. He's out of the bubble. So at minimum, he's missing the rest of this first round series. That's a big hit. Tarasenko's probably the best player overall on that Blues team, at least the most offensive-minded player on that Blues side. Ryan O'Reilly might be the most complete player.
Oh, yeah.
He's up for a Selke, I believe. God, dude, fuck. This one's tough, but I'm going to stick with the Canucks. But I think, if you're a hockey fan, this is the series that you should be focusing on for the rest of round one.
You're absolutely right. And here's what I'll have to say. Dun, 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 dun. The Blues have entered the bubble, ladies and gentlemen. It took a while for them to figure out their game, but they have arrived. And I'm going to use a little bit of a metaphor for the Canucks. I might be a little bit of an asshole here, but I'm going to use it anyway. The playoffs are like a classroom for these young players, but there's not much forgiveness when it comes to the classroom. I think that it's hard. I think the Canucks are learning that it's hard to win in the NHL and the playoffs. Newsflash. Classroom president Ryan O'Reilly has entered the room with his boys, David Perron and Jaden Schwartz, and took over Game 4. They badly outplayed Pettersson, Besser, and the Miller line. And those 3 know how to get it done. I think that Ryan O'Reilly, he may not win the Selke this year, but if he continues this, he's going to win another Conn Smythe if they go all the way through. For two of those guys on the Canucks, they've never played. This is their first playoff series, so they have a lot to learn. I will say this. I think that they're going to take their lickings this year. I think you're absolutely right. Game 5 is going to be more or less the deciding one. Although I do see the Blues finishing this out. But with that said, the Canucks are going to learn a lot from this. They're going to come back and be a team that everybody should be freaking worried about because they are a damn good team. They're a damn good hockey team. This would be a killer Game 7 if they made it that far. I just think that the Blues are just going to finish it up, and hopefully I'm right because I'm the only one who thought that. That is it for the hockey. By next week, we're going to know who's in the the semifinals. So we'll give you guys those breakdowns next week.
Yep, they grow up so fast. Those hockey playoffs. They are going really fucking fast. But when we come back, our last but not least segment will be Tyler talking more baseball. Last but not least, oh damn, it's Tyler with baseball.
Oh, damn. All right. Week 4, boys. We're approaching halfway through the Major League season, which is crazy because I feel like it just started. So I'm going to go through my top 5 oh dams of the week. Starting off at number 5, I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox and how much they're struggling, especially on the pitching side of things. As of August 17th, they're 6-16, 9.5 games in last place, the worst record in the American League. Their starting pitching ERA is 6.87. That is, and they have the worst team ERA in baseball at 6.87. They have tied the Major League record using 11 starting pitchers in their first 22 games. During the 7-game losing streak that they're currently on as of August 17th, they've allowed 10.5 runs per game, and they are allowing an opponent batting average of 357, allowing 13 home runs. They just got swept by the New York Yankees in 4 games. The Yankees have won 10 straight games against the Boston Red Sox. So the Red Sox are not in a good spot right now. I definitely didn't think that they're going to be a postseason team this year, but I definitely didn't think that the struggles were going to be this bad. Obviously, with injury to Chris Sale, and they lost David Price to a trade to the Dodgers. They've had a lot of losses on the pitching side of things, but I mean, this is pretty rough. So, Tradon, I want to ask you, as a coach, going through team struggles like this, when your team is like just going through a rough patch like this, what do you say to your team to try and get them back on track?
You know that if I knew that answer, I think that Chapman Hockey would have a winning season. Here's the deal: sometimes with these types of things, you need to sit them down and work on the things that you need to work on. Some of the small things. Do that. Do the whole gamut. At some point, these are professional athletes. They need to figure it out. I mean, at some point, the onus is on them. I mean, the coach can only do so much. He can't play the games, so he has to motivate in best way he can. But at the end of the day, if the players aren't ready to put in the work and figure it out themselves, what else can they do? I would say that you sit them down. Okay, boys, erase what just happened. Erase the last, X amount of games, X amount of plays, whatever it may be. We're starting fresh. Maybe I'm not sure. I don't know how baseball works. I don't know if you kind of, rustle up the roster a little bit. I don't know how things work in that. But I would say you might make a change on some kind of lineup, bring a spark to the team. But at the end of the day, they got to figure it out themselves.
Yeah, obviously the Yankees dominating this Boston Red Sox-Yankees rivalry is not good baseball to watch. I want the Red Sox to be more competitive. Hopefully they can figure out their pitching side of things, and later in the season maybe play some spoiler. We'll see what happens. So hopefully the Red Sox figured their pitching side of things out. Offensively, they're doing pretty well. They're averaging about 5 runs per game, so they're not too bad on offense. But moving on to my number 4, oh damn, my defensive play of the week from the Angels shortstop, David Fletcher, giving some love to the Angels over here. In the 4th inning of Saturday night's game against Los Angeles Dodgers, Mookie Betts hit a hard ground ball to David Fletcher's right. He makes a backhanded catch on the run, jumps, and makes a perfect throw to nab Betts out by a hair. They reviewed the play. There wasn't enough to overturn the call. I mean, this is one of the best defensive plays I've seen this season from an infielder. If you haven't seen the video, hopefully we'll get it on our TLDR social media at some point just so you guys can see the play. I mean, amazing feat of athleticism. Mookie Betts is one of the best runners in baseball, so to nab that guy out on a play like that is unbelievable. Eric, what do you think is the most impressive type of play to see in sports?
Well, they should have won that game first off. That was fucked. But the most impressive play in sports, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I would say it would be a hole-in-one in golf.
Of course you said that.
On a par 5.
On a par 5, yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Or on a DeChambeau par 4 would be a hole-in-one. But, yeah, that play, I was watching that live. That was a sick play. I think the Angels got the benefit of the doubt because it was called out right away. So, like you said, there wasn't enough to overturn it. But that's what Fletcher does for the Angels. That's probably his highest quality is the defensive side of things, getting pitchers back because the pitching isn't quite there for the Angels yet, and that's what he's got to do to keep them in games like that. So I did say, "Oh damn," when I saw the play, and I was happy that he threw out your favorite, Alex's new favorite Dodger, Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I definitely said oh damn as well. That was one hell of a throw. All right, moving on to number 3. Boys, the Miami Marlins, the Baltimore Orioles, as we sit here tonight talking, are in a playoff spot. Fucking crazy because I had them picked last in the division of both their respective divisions. As of today, the Marlins are 9-8. They're second in the National League East, one game back of the Atlanta Braves. Granted, they haven't played as many games as everyone else because of the whole COVID situation early on. The Orioles are currently 12-11. They are 4 games back of the Yankees in the AL East, but they are a wild card team with this expanded playoffs. As far as the Orioles are concerned, they have the third best team OPS in baseball. However, they have the 20th best ERA in baseball. So really great hitting, not so great pitching. Marlins are the opposite. Marlins, they have the 7th best team ERA in baseball. They got a couple of guys stepping up who are kind of third-year guys. Pablo Lopez has a 2.25 ERA through 3 starts. Hernandez is a 1.84 ERA through 3 starts. However, their offense is not so great. 24th best offense in baseball at 684. Their 2 best hitters, Brian Anderson, Jesus Aguilar, both have 4 home runs apiece. Alex, what team do you think is the bigger surprise here, and do you think either of these teams make the postseason?
The Orioles have got to be the biggest surprise. They play in a division, again, like we just talked about, we didn't expect the Red Sox because it's terrible, but the Orioles have been historically awful the last 3 years. They're a big surprise, especially the offensive side. I don't think either one of them will sustain this. You just said they're both literally a game above 500. I still think Tampa has started off slow. I can't imagine the Orioles hold off Tampa for that second spot in the East. The Mets have been bad. The Phillies have been bad. Braves have gotten a lot of injuries. I just don't think the Marlins can hold them off either. I know this is kind of like a downer response to your question. Great story for baseball. Baltimore is one of those baseball cities that maybe doesn't get enough love. Camden Yards is one of my top spots that I want to hit. I've heard Camden is just beautiful. I think it's good for baseball when it's not the big boys all the time. If I was going to pick one to squeak in, it's going to be the Orioles. I don't know why. I feel good. The Red Sox are bad. The Blue Jays are not as good as we think they are. Maybe the Orioles can squeak in this shortened season.
For sure. I'm going to go the opposite with you. I think the Marlins, might squeak in here, which I think would be hilarious because as a joke, I said for this 2020 season, the short season, as a joke, I said maybe the Marlins make a playoff spot. And I think it would be hilarious if they actually did. So I think I'm going to go on a limb, and I think they make one of those second wildcard spots. Just because, we're only halfway through. They're only a game back. That division, the Mets and the Nationals have underperformed so far. They're not doing so hot. It is very tight. But fuck it, it's 2020. I think the Marlins will squeak into a playoff spot. All right, moving on to my number 2 oh damn moment. Mookie Betts had a 3-home-run game Thursday night at Dodger Stadium against the San Diego Padres. He became just the 3rd player in Major League history to record a 3-home-run game 6 times in a career, joining Sammy Sosa and Johnny Mize. No one has done it 7 times. So, James, I want to ask you this question. Does Mookie break the record and does he accomplish this feat 7 times? Mind you, he's only 27 years old. And second follow-up question to that, would you rather see a 3-home-run game or a hockey hat trick in person?
First part of the question, I think he does. I think Mookie Betts is super, super talented. There's the reason why the Dodgers paid him all that money. He's a damn good baseball player. There's no doubt about it, and I'm not even a Dodgers fan. I want to go with a hockey hat trick in person just so I can throw my hat on the ice. I feel like that feeling would be amazing just to be part of that. Just say I did that. Do you get your hat back if you throw it back on
No.
the ice? Like,
No.
You're donating it.
maybe
yeah.
not. Changing my answer. Going to the other one.
I'll say, would you throw your TLDR hat on the ice?
Yeah, man, I have a plethora right now. I have like 4 sitting in my room. So, yeah, sure, why not?
All right, on, man. All
Hey,
right.
I made those. What the fuck, man?
All right. Okay, so moving on, my number one, oh, damn, this has been one of the biggest storylines of this week in baseball. The Cleveland Indians drama with two of their top pitchers, Zach Plesac and Mike Clevenger. So just for you guys who doesn't know much about it, I'm going to break it down for you guys. So Zach Plesac, Mike Clevenger were caught going out to bars in Chicago on August 7th. The team quickly learned of Plesac's going out. They sent a car service to go pick him up, be like, "You're busted, dude." Drove him back to Cleveland. However, they did not know of Clevenger's involvement until after the team flew back to Cleveland. So Clevenger was on the team playing, knowing that Plesac had already been caught, and he's on the team playing. Didn't admit to going out that night. The team's back, flying back to Cleveland. Obviously, they eventually found out that both those guys had gone out to a bar and had dinner with some friends that night. Currently, they're both demoted to the team's alternate site, so they're not on the Major League roster as of today. Neither have tested positive for COVID-19, thankfully. Plesac had posted an Instagram video kind of defending his actions, saying that the media had treated him unfairly about the whole situation, making him look like he was evil and just a bad teammate. But just so you guys know, teammate Carlos Carrasco on the Indians had leukemia. So cancer guy, trying to battle that. And their manager, Terry Francona, was not with the team for 8 days because he was battling a illness, trying to get through that. As far as these two guys, are they important to the Indians? Absolutely are. Plesac, before this will happen, he was 1-1 with a 1.29 ERA with a 24-2 strikeout to walk ratio in 3 starts. Clevenger was also 1-1 with a 3.24 ERA. Clevenger was Alex's pick to win the Cy Young this year for the Indians. The Indians currently have the second best team ERA in baseball, and they are currently 13-9, 1 game back of the Twins in the AL Central. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys each a question about this whole situation. Tradon, what do you think of Plesac's response? Just kind of defending his actions, this whole thing, and basically making him sound like he was an asshole the whole time.
I mean, I'm kind of the guy that you just need to take, it's your actions. You got to take responsibility, and that doesn't sound like that he's doing as such. We expect politicians to appreciate their actions. Well, sports guys are the same way, as far as I'm concerned. So take responsibility for one spot.
Right on. Eric, if you're one of these guys' teammates, how do you respond? What do you say to these guys? Like, how are you hurt by their actions? Like, how do you respond to something like that?
I think you're a little disappointed in him, but at the same time, I don't know like the true situation. Like, was he seeing close family friends that he hasn't seen forever? Either way, it's going off kind of trading. You're committed to this team. It's a short season. They could have tested positive and fucked the whole team over, and then again fucked the whole league over. So you're disappointed in their actions, but now that it's over with, and thank God that they're negative, you move on. You try to focus on the season.
James, if you're in a management position, being the manager, Terry Francona, or the GM of the Indians, I mean, there's some players threatening to opt out if these guys are allowed to play. How do you handle these two guys?
I don't bring him back up. I'm going to leave him down there. And it hurts for me to say because Clevenger is on my fantasy team, and my fantasy team right now sucks. So I'd like to have him back, but to be honest, like, they don't deserve to be back. Like, you could have really compromised your team. You could have compromised the league, like Eric was saying. And the thing that really pissed me off, though, was Clevenger, because he saw Plesac get in trouble, and he was with him. But he just went on like nothing changed. Like, he did nothing wrong. And, dude, own up to it. Your punishment would have been less, probably. But, like, now you got to stay down there. Like, there's no way, man. Like, you have none of the trust of your teammates. They're not going to play defense behind you. Stay down there. You may not. Yeah, no. Don't come back up.
Yeah, that's a huge decision. Obviously, you can get really complicated into service time if they're down there for longer. I think it's the 19 games. Then they don't have the season counted as a year of service for Major League Baseball, and that can delay their free agent and all those kind of things. So they can lose. Clevenger and Plesac lose a lot of money because of this, because of the team choosing to keep them down for as punishment or whatever. Alex, do you think that this whole situation, having those two guys down there for however long they're going to be down there for, and kind of the whole clubhouse being a little bit torn apart by this whole situation, is this going to hurt the Indians' postseason chances?
If it was a normal baseball season and we only had the 10 teams, then I would say yes. But the fact that there's 2 teams from each division coming into it, and the fact that they're in the AL Central, I think they still have a very good chance. If I can change my pick, Shane Bieber is my Cy Young pick because he's a fucking monster. The Clevenger pick is obviously a nightmare right now. I don't know. Their offense is good enough, but I mean, shout out to whatever episode we talked about the picks on, but I had Cleveland winning the AL Central, and that was based off of how good their pitching staff was. But if I kind of following off your previous questions, I would not bring them back up. This is unacceptable. I've talked shit about Lou Williams for doing almost the exact same thing in basketball. They shouldn't be come back up. This should be a harsh punishment that I think not the Cleveland Indians should bring upon them, but MLB itself, as a way to break up people from doing this again. Because as we talked about before, NHL is in a bubble, NBA is in a bubble. Baseball is a much more risky situation. So I don't know. Don't bring them back up. I do think this hurts their chances, but because they're in the AL Central, they're probably still going to make the playoffs. We'll see if they bring them back for the playoffs or kind of what happens. The Cleveland Indians are a whole fucking hot mess right now.
Yeah. So real quick, a couple honorable mentions. Baseball's been talking about bringing the bubble for their postseason. I think they've been kind of looking at the NBA and the NHL and how successful the bubble has been for those two sports. Just real quick, Alex, since you've kind of been talking about it real quick, do you think realistically this is a thing that the MLB can do?
I think it is a thing MLB can do. I think they have to pick the right spot, not to be biased, but I do think Southern California might be the best option because they have 3 stadiums with Dodger Stadium, Angel Stadium, Padre Stadium pretty close together. I think they should do it if they want to get through the playoffs without more COVID issues.
I agree. And then my second honorable mention, a couple unwritten rules being broken. Fernando Tatis has been in the media a lot lately. Tradon, I know you have a lot to say about it. James, you texted me earlier today about it. Fernando Tatis hit 2 home runs yesterday against the Texas Rangers. The second one was on a 3-0 count when the Padres were up by 7 runs. Today, he also stole third base when they were up 6-0, which is also another unwritten rule you're not supposed to do. So James first, Tradon second. James, are you just like completely just blown away by how stupid these unwritten rules are? And then Tradon, like, I kind of want you to follow up on those comments and just how you feel about what these unwritten rules mean. Like, should they be gone? Just fuck them. Is Fernando Tatis your hero? Go for it.
So unwritten rules should stay unwritten. Reason being is when you write them down, you realize how stupid they actually are. Like, those suck. Straight up. Why are you getting mad at the guy for playing baseball? Like, dude, if it's a 3-0 count, don't throw it right down the middle. Be a better pitcher. Play better defense. that was a quote from my boy Matt from Indiana. Shout out Matt. But I was talking to him about that, and he was saying the exact same thing, man. Like, be better at baseball. You're a pro athlete. You got to be competitive. You're getting mad at him for playing, for wanting to be good. Like, no, dude. Let him play.
Yeah, Tradon.
Yeah, I mean, same freaking thing. I mean, my Tatus jersey's in the mail. It's coming very soon. Dude, I love it. I absolutely fucking love it. This is what baseball needs. This is what brings me in. Okay, so these guys are paid to play baseball. They're professional athletes. He probably has bonuses that are tied to stolen bases or freaking home runs. The NHL has the whole gambit. I get it. Let the fucking guy swing for the fences. And actually, I'm very pissed at him because he apologized. He should have apologized, just like he should have just said, I apologize for absolutely fucking nothing, because he didn't do anything. He played fucking baseball. And I absolutely love it. He's electrifying. He's exciting. I may be a freaking Padres fan now. I mean, I absolutely love it. Fuck the old guys who think that it's old school or whatever. I don't really give a shit. I understand it in T-ball or whatever the fuck. Like, you learn to be a sportsman. They're pro athletes. James, you're absolutely right. Don't throw it down the fucking middle, you idiot. Get off the mound. Just quit playing if you can't fucking pitch the damn ball. I'm done.
Yeah.
Don't throw an unwritten pitch. Don't steal an unwritten base.
God, dude, I'm so glad you brought this up, man. I'm so glad.
All right. First of all, Tradon, it's pronounced Tatis.
Not titties.
and second of all, Alex, do you agree with James and Tradon with that whole sentiment?
100% Fernando Tatis possibly is the face of baseball. That guy fucking balls. Good for him. Swing at the 3-0 pitch. Throw a better pitch. Fuck that. Just fuck it. Let the kids play. Hit jacks. Throw the bat. Fucking whip that beautiful hair. Do your thing, Fernando. Do your thing.
100%. He's the home run leader in Major League Baseball right now. He deserves, if anyone deserves to pimp a home run on 3-0 count, it's Fernando Tatis Jr. All right. Eric, that's all I got. Take us home, bud.
Tyler, thank you once again for the excellent oh damn baseball moments. Guys, like I said earlier, we're on week 9. We've almost done 10 weeks of this fucking thing, and every week has gotten better. Episode 8 last week had 118 plays, and that's our newest, highest listen. So we want to thank all of our listeners for all the support, all of our followers on Instagram. I can't wait for James to post. I think NFC East for my Eagles 4-12 prediction. I know there's gonna be some scumbag Philly fans coming at me, but we want to thank you guys all for your support, for listening. We got the merch going. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some shirts and other things coming out too. The more you guys like us, the more we can do for you. So want to send you off with that. And week 10 on its fucking way. Thanks, guys.